Hey guys, welcome back to What Next? And this week we're going over the 80s classic North Shore. So if you guys know this movie, you know all the characters. You know we got Turtle here, classic character, you gotta love him. We got Rick here, our main character. You got Keani here, who is his love interest, not shown in the main poster here for the movie. You have Chandler, who's his kind of mentor and a guy that kind of shows him how to surf essentially in the movie. And you have Lance, who is our main villain of the show. You have a couple other sub characters. You have Aki, who's one of the kind of like fellow surfers that you see running around. You have Alex, who's in there too, and then you have the Hui guys. Mainly is Vince, who's kind of the head of them. He kind of pops up here and there. Who is Keani's uncle? Not really sure he likes Rick off the jump, but at the end of the movie, he does kind of give him the sign of approval. So, watching this again recently, it left me with a lot of the questions I had asking growing up after watching it from before. Now, we know Rick leaves the island. We know he kind of leaves like almost kind of like a surf legend. Like, comes out of nowhere, almost wins this major tournament, and everybody's like, who is this guy? He's from Arizona, doesn't know how to surf. Or no one's ever heard of him, and all of a sudden he comes out and he's kicking everybody's butt in this big surf contest. So, end of the movie, we all know he goes off to New York, goes to art school. So I always wondered, probably the biggest question I had was, does Rick ever go back to the North Shore? Because he kind of, he developed all these relationships with Turtle, Keani, Chandler. He kind of just blew up the spot for everybody there. Nobody saw this guy coming. Nobody saw him as a threat. And then by the end of the movie, he has the respect to everybody because he's just kind of like this magic soul surfer now. So my main question was, does Rick ever go back? Obviously, he takes off to art school. I'm wondering, does he ever feel conflicted about going to art school? Like, I should have stayed. I probably could be this, surf legend right now. I could be as big as, as Lance in the movie. Lance was the big surfer, the guy he really wanted to be. So now that he kind of leaves and realizes he has a shot at being that guy, I always wondered, did that bother him? But sadly, we'll never know because we never did get a sequel to this one. But as far as character development too, Turtle. I always wondered if Turtle kind of got the props he deserved. He was kind of just like, low level, sweet dude, didn't mean nobody no harm, but kind of did what Chandler wanted. And then meanwhile, in the background, he was watching what Chandler was doing the whole time. Now he can actually shape a surfboard and knows what he's doing. So I was always kind of wondering, does Turtle here almost kind of get the the recognition he deserves? And if you don't know who Turtle is an iconic character. Plenty of great sayings. If you haven't watched the movie, totally just go ahead and watch it. You'll know why we all love Turtle. But as far as his development, I would have liked to have seen him just kind of get a little more recognition. Chandler, I always wondered what was going to happen with Chandler. Does his does his business take off? Like, is his mindset kind of different now that Rick kind of came along and showed that soul surfers can go out and still essentially win these tournaments and show that they can have a presence there? Like, it's not all about flash and pizzazz and winning these things, the flashy way that kind of Lance did. But I always wondered, did he kind of take what he learned from Rick and apply it to his business and his life over there on the North Shore? And then also too, with like Keani, I always wondered if Rick came back, where would we find her and what would she be doing? Did they keep in contact while he was gone? Did she kind of find her purpose on the island? Because it seemed like she was always in between wanting to leave and not wanting to leave. Like, she just wasn't sure what she was going to do with herself. So it'd be interesting to see where her character kind of picks up in a sequel, if should that have happened. Also too, like, in the sequel, like, would Lance have came back and wanted essentially some sort of revenge from Rick, or revenge to prove that he wasn't the big cheater that everybody thought he was? Because at the end of the movie, he's the big guy, he's the stud, he's the alpha male that everybody wants to be. He's kind of winning all these surf tournaments. But at the end, he gets himself in a predicament where he knows he's not going to win, and he kind of chooses the loser's way out and pulls Rick's leash and essentially costs Rick the wave that he was going to take. But in the end, Lance gets caught. Everybody knows that he gets disqualified. So I'm kind of wondering, would that have played a factor in a sequel, or would they have just kind of picked up with Rick coming back in with maybe some sort of new surfer villain. You know, who knows? But again, I always kind of wondered where they would have shown Lance's character going. Could he have been redeemed? Could he have come back and helped Rick? You know, who knows? Who knows? It was kind of almost, you know, he kind of screwed himself. So it was like, would we see, maybe he'd be just kind of like this beach bum that nobody wanted to deal with anymore. Like, who knows? But yeah, so those are the kind of like the main questions I was left watching this movie. Now, if you guys have any other questions or any other concerns about this movie that you want to bring up to my point of view here, because I might have missed something, who knows? Doing some research on this, it looks like they never really tried to get a sequel going. I know of after all these years, it got hot for a second and then just kind of died down. I think, you know, when time goes on, you don't really get too many of these good sequels because it's been a lot of years, and you'd have to pick up these characters at really old spots in their lives now. But if you guys know of anything, think of anything, please let me know. Shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, and I'd be happy to talk about it with you. But other than that, till next time, thanks for watching, guys.